Most welcome to the next video in our thematic overview of overprotecting the E5 square. And we will continue with yet another Nimzowitsch game. And at this we have moved one year ahead to 1912, and the place is San Sebastian. And Nimzowitsch is white, playing against Paul Leonhardt. So, for those who want to read the description, where I have the moves and then timestamps of the video, you should click on the title. If you use your phone, click the title on the video. Or if you are using a computer, you can go to the button that you have more or show more, then the description will open. So yeah, just give it a little time if you are not already familiar with this, because it might be a big advantage to be able to read if you lose track. That is especially if you are blind and use an adaptive chess set instead of watching the video screen. So we play on with Echo 4, and black, not surprisingly, as we are mainly focusing on the French defense, plays Echo 6. White carries on with Delta 4, and black continues with Delta 5. And here Nimzowitsch continues to push on, playing Echo 5, something that we already have seen that he gladly uses. He has many very interesting games in this variation. So for the one who would be especially interested, it is really worth going through his games in this advanced variation of the French defense. For me, I don't want to devote 10 lessons to Nimzowitsch games here, because we must push further on. But I have actually omitted many interesting games. Black continues with Charlie 5, attacking the center. And here normally white plays Charlie 3. Nimzowitsch already from this time, about this time also, and even continued until the late 1920s, sometimes played Queen Golf 4 here, then did not recapture if black captured on Delta 4, continued with the development Knight Foxtrot 3, Bishop Delta 3. And use the queen to put pressure on black's king side. That is an interesting way of playing, not correct by no means, but it shows is another example of how Nimzowitsch experiments and tries to understand, a little bit in the same spirit as Steinis did in the first video in these lectures on overprotection. Here, though, white plays Knight Foxtrot 3, and it shows that Nimzowitsch is not at all worried about grabbing on d4 with a pawn, or postpone recapturing until a better moment. So, black continued with Queen Bravo 6, Queen to Bravo 6. Of course, one could have captured on Delta 4 immediately, and there we have examples of when Nimzowitsch even captures with the queen, although black then would gain tempo with Knight Charlie 6 and so on. But then he actually gives up quite a bit of time to have good protection of the Echo 5 pawn, and then play for space advantage and usually king side attack. White now plays Bishop to Delta 3, and maybe hoping that black would push forward with Charlie 4. But if black would do that, that would mean that black gives up the pressure on delta 4, so white can then develop his pieces more freely without having to worry about the pressure on the delta 4 pawn. So instead, black captures. Charlie takes delta 4. Charlie takes delta 4. And white goes for castling kingside. Castling kingside goes for quick development. That is the name of the game for Nimzowitsch here. So white has gained some time because black has moved the c pawn twice, but black has actually won a pawn. White probably will be able to regain it, but the position is about equal if you run Stockfish 16.1, as I have done for a little while. It is about equal. And Stockfish even comes up with suggestions like playing Charlie 3 quite soon to sacrifice the pawn. That would also be equal play according to Stockfish, and that is a theme that we will see in later lessons also, because this has been a very topical way of treating those positions lately. Right? Black continues with knight Charlie 6. Knight to Charlie 6. Yeah, natural development move, giving more protection to the delta 4 pawn also. White plays alpha 3. This also hinders black from playing knight bravo 4. This might not, however, be the main reason for playing alpha 3, at least if you were Aron Nimzowitsch, because there are quite a few examples on how he gives up the delta 3 bishop for the knight and tries to gain activity and quick development and other things in exchange for the two bishops. But I think the main idea behind alpha 3 is to push forward with bravo 4, as we will see happens in the game. Black plays knight golf to echo 7. Now knight golf to echo 7. A very natural, common way of developing in these lines of the French. The knight normally heads for golf 6, sometimes for foxtrot 5. But here, black often wants to put pressure on the white echo 5 pawn. White continues with bravo 4. Stockfish here comes up with many interesting ideas. Charlie 3 is one of them instead of bravo 4. White can also continue just with rook echo 1, and then if knight golf 6, maybe hotel 4, gaining space there on the king side, disturbing the knight on golf 6. And this is a way of playing that has become very topical, as I already touched upon before. We will discuss these kind of plans more detailed in future lessons. But bravo 4 is a natural move. The engine doesn't love it, but it is not a big mistake either. Black plays knight golf 6, and white protects with rook to echo 1, protecting the pawn on echo 5. Often in these positions, white would like to play hotel 4, maybe the idea of hotel 5 later on, pushing away the knight from golf 6. Often this is combined with placing a pawn on golf 3, for example, or a bishop on foxtrot 4, also to overprotect echo 5, and only later decide what to do to try to recapture the delta 4 pawn, or simply accept to playing pawn down because white has gained other kind of advantages. Yeah. So black continues here with bishop echo 7, bishop echo 7, and this is not really what the engines would recommend. I think the engines normally here would like to play queen Charlie 7, focusing more on pressure on the echo 5 square. Bishop to echo 7 actually turns the position from slightly favorable for black, as it turned to be after white played this idea with bravo 4, to clearly superior for white. Clearly superior for white. White continues with bishop bravo 2. Bishop bravo 2. And yeah, it is a very natural, very human idea, to say the least. But equally good, I would say, or maybe even better, would have been to push hotel 4, or, although this is something that you rather do when you are encouraged of a strong chess engine. It seems to be that you have good compensation for even sacrificing a second pawn with hotel 4, because white will soon get the queen up to golf 4 and gain a lot of activity. But bishop bravo 2 was played. We then have alpha 5. Alpha 5 is not the best move at all. But the position, yeah, it's. I think it would be castles that would be recommended here, and then try to, yeah, start to put pressure on echo 5 instead. White now continues with bravo 5. Bravo 5. Sacrificing the pawn. No, not sacrificing the pawn. Attacking the knight. I'm sorry. But at the moment, the bishop on bravo 2 would be captured in its turn if white would capture on Charlie 6. But sooner or later, the knight has to move, which would give white even better control over delta 4 and echo 5 as we proceed the game. Black played alpha 4. Alpha 4. Probably black didn't like that white could play alpha 4 himself, and thereby cementing the space advantage on the queen side for white. White plays knight bravo to delta 2, knight bravo to delta 2. And now it is actually threatening to take on Charlie 6, because if white could play two moves here at once, now directly play bravo takes Charlie 6, and black would capture on bravo 2 with the queen, then rook bravo 1 followed by Charlie takes bravo 7 would be winning for white. So black decided to move the knight, and it went to alpha 7, knight alpha 7. So now we can see how Nimzowitsch seemed to have given up quite much in the center, sacrificing the pawn, letting black have an extra pawn on delta 4. Now it has turned out that white will now reclaim the pawn and have very good activity, and the black pieces, thanks to white's space advantage both in the center and on the queen side, has had to move the pieces on the fringes of the board. So now black is clearly worse. Engine would consider that white is maybe even up 1.5 or 2 pawns in this position. White continues with bishop takes delta 4. Bishop takes delta 4. Now regaining the pawn and protecting Echo 5. What could we more want out of the position? Here, the best move for black would actually be to play queen delta 8. But even so, white here has the cold-blooded move hotel 4. That would give white a substantial advantage. Even sacrificing that pawn has become very popular now when we are inspired of the modern chess engines. We will not discuss exactly why hotel 4 is so good here, what happens if black recaptures and so on. White can also play golf 3 with the idea of hotel 4 still with advantage. But black plays a clearly weaker move, bishop to Charlie 5. Bishop to Charlie 5. And why is that such a bad move? It is very natural, most people would say. Of course, white has a strong bishop on delta 4. So why not swap it? And this has to do with something that this is actually a very big part of the reason why I chose to show this game. When the dark squared bishops disappear, black remains with a very weak square on delta 6. And we will see how important that will be. So, white gladly captures on Charlie 5, bishop takes Charlie 5. Bishop takes bishop, that means. And black recaptures, queen takes bishop. Queen takes Charlie 5. And this is a very important position. If you understand this position, you have some knowledge that you easily can apply in many games with white in the French defense, because this is a quite common theme that we will see in those advanced lines of the French defense, especially in which white has for a while sacrificed the delta pawn. White now plays Charlie 4. Charlie 4. Normally, you wouldn't like to exchange pawns here with white. Black's bishop on Charlie 8 is not something that black is very proud of. And of course, if black can get rid of the delta 5 pawn, black could then hope to play, for example, Bravo 6 and Bishop Bravo 7 and solve a lot of his problems. But, unfortunately for him, things are not really that good for him because of the lack of development and the weakness on delta 6. So this is a theme that we will see be very, with great sophistication, used in contemporary development of the advanced French. So Charlie 4 was white's move, and black takes. Delta takes Charlie 4. I think that castles was the move to be played here, but white would have a big advantage anyway, because the position would open up, and white has possibilities to play both on the C file after a capture on delta 5 and push hotel 4, threatening hotel 5, maybe continue with knight golf 5, for example. So delta takes Charlie 4, and here white had the possibility of playing bishop takes golf 6, followed by knight echo 4 with decisive advantage. But Nimzowitsch does it in quite similar way anyway. So he plays knight echo 4 first, and now we see how this delta 6 square that seemed difficult to actually attack or to control for white suddenly is occupied by a monstrous knight on delta 6. So knight echo 4, black played queen delta 5, queen delta 5. White hops on with knight delta 6 check. Knight delta 6 check. Black plays king echo 7. King echo 7. White plays knight takes Charlie 4. Knight takes Charlie 4. And we see that the knight could have taken on Charlie 4 instead of going to echo 4, but this little jumping around has forced black to give up the right to castle and expose and put the black king in a more exposed position. Now white threatens knight to bravo 6 with the fork on the queen on delta 5 and the rook on alpha 8. So black plays queen to Charlie 5, queen to Charlie 5. And here we see how Nimzowitsch plays the move that I hoped that he would have placed instead of knight echo 4. He plays bishop takes golf 6. Bishop takes golf 6. One can say that it is weird that one should want to exchange the light square bishop, which is a very good piece, especially in an open position, for the knight on golf 6. Here we have a concrete reason for it that we will see in a minute. But one can say that when your opponent has very few reasonably placed pieces, it is a good idea to swap those pieces off so that the other pieces that remain will look even worse, because white has a lot of good, well-placed pieces. If you grab the only ones in the black count that are good, then white's superiority and coordination will actually be even more felt. Black recaptures, hotel takes golf 6, hotel takes golf 6, and white plays queen delta 6 check. Queen to delta 6 check. Black, of course, has to swap queens. There is no other option, otherwise black would lose the queen. So queen takes queen on delta 6, and white captures, echo takes delta 6 check. And actually here black resigns. So this, I would say, deserves some kind of explanation. We can see that if, for example, the black king would go to echo 8 here, then white could continue with knight to bravo 6, attacking the rook on alpha 8. The rook has to move to bravo 8. White could continue, for example, with rook alpha to Charlie 1, developing the last undeveloped piece. that also indirectly protects Bravo 5, because if the knight would leave Alpha 7 to capture on Bravo 5, then Charlie 8 would be hanging. So that would mean at least the loss of the bishop. One could think that here, after Rook Alpha to Charlie 1, Black might play Bishop Delta 7, but then Rook Charlie 7 is very, very strong. Yeah, you can take an example here. If Black then just would play Bishop takes Bravo 5, White can increase the pressure, even involve the knight on Foxtrot 3 in the attack by Knight Echo 5. And we can see that the threat, one of the threats is Rook to Echo 7 check. Black doesn't want to play King Delta 8 because of Knight takes Foxtrot 7 check, forking the Rook and King. You don't want to go King Foxtrot 8 either. At least White could play Rook takes Foxtrot 7 check. And yeah, the D pawn, the White D pawn, is well advanced and will decide the game in not a far future. So these are examples of what could happen if this is an explanation to why Black resigned. So I keep this game in your memory, and remember what I have touched upon that wasn't played in the game: the idea of protecting the Echo 5 pawn and then push Hotel 4, the idea of Hotel 5. Also keep in mind that instead of Alpha 3 and Bravo 4, modern chess engines are quite keen on playing Charlie 3, gladly giving up the pawn, because Delta 4 is not really a sacrificed pawn yet when Black has it so weak, so it quite has good chances to regain it. But to give up the chances to regain it with Charlie 3 is something that we will discuss in future classes. Now we will take a big leap forward in history, I think to the late 1980s, if I recall correctly. But yeah, what I will show in the next video, you will see tomorrow. Thank you.